1 minute.
A little better, almost there.
Good morning, folks. Sam Satterwhite, Satterwhite Log Homes here again, and we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas this morning. What you have been watching the last few seconds. Danny, why don't you roll 10 or 15 seconds of that? This is bragging rights I'm going to use right now, but we have never, I don't think we've ever been in a Christmas parade. Well, this year we decided to enter a float in the Longview Christmas Parade, which is quite a neat parade. And since Travonda was involved in it, she never does anything halfway. And so we won best of show in the whole parade out of 120 something or 30 entries, which I think was very impressive, but I expected it absolutely. But we have a lot of fun around Christmas. Let me have it now, Danny, if you don't mind. And you know, a few points I'd like to make about Christmas time and log homes. But I'll be honest with you, if you live in a plain old brick veneer house or some other kind of conventional house, I absolutely feel sorry for you if you don't get to spend Christmas in a log home. I'm not able to switch slides here, Danny, for whatever reason. There we go. All right, and you know, I can't help if you're not going to be able to spend Christmas in a log home this time, but you might talk to Santa Claus between now and next Tuesday night and see about getting some plans together so that next Christmas you'll be in that log home or cabin. There's just something absolutely special about log homes and Christmas time, and can't really describe it, but log homes have a coziness, something that fits Christmas more than other types of homes. This is one, of course, we've got pictures of Christmas time and our log homes all over the country. This one is one a number of years ago back in Tennessee. And this customer raises a fancy Tennessee mules and has a beautiful, beautiful log home there on his ranch. I could go on and on all day about how beautiful some of our log homes are decorated for Christmas time, but I don't want to brag too much, even though log homes are so special for Christmas time. But you know, I'd like to reflect back. I'm a lot of you that know me realize I'm kind of a sentimental guy, and I like to think back about things and special Christmases, and I want to reflect on a couple of those, and as always, I'm going to have to tell you a story. You know that's coming. And I'll mention, I'm going to see if I've got a picture in our living room that reflects on something very, very special that happened a number of years ago. Don't have the living room, but there's our front door at Travanda's and my house here about a mile from the office. I'm gonna go back to the best Christmas present that I ever had, and that was in 1989. We had two kids at the time, Christy and Nick, and it didn't look like that we were going to have another child. There we are. There's the living room, and that you see that easy chair over in the left-hand corner of this shot. That's where I was sitting, and Travanda handed me a present to open. Of course, our two kids were there, and Travanda's folks were there, and she handed me a present. I opened it, and whenever I realized what it meant, got choked up, cried a little bit, but tears of joy on Christmas Eve because she was telling me that we were going to have a third baby, and she had kept it secret for, I guess, a couple of months. She's kind of funny that way, and that Christmas present I felt like was our Lindsay, who was born August the 1st of 1990, but a very, very, very special Christmas. Now, I want to tell you about one that it might not be kind of quite as neat as that one, but roll forward a few years, and this would have been around 1993 or 94. Santa Claus had bought Nick, our middle child, he'd bought him a little Honda 50 little motorcycle. His first, well, I don't know how many things with motors he'd had, but it was his first two-wheel vehicle with a motor on it. And Santa had entrusted it with me, and I had stashed it here at our warehouse. Nick was 9, maybe 10 years old, was into any and everything, and I knew it was going to have to be hid really well. So I told the warehouse foreman, you put it someplace that you know Nick won't find before Christmas, because he'll be looking around. Okay, Christmas Eve rolls around, and Travana and I had been helping get things ready for Santa's arrival. And about 10:30 that night, which this happened to be on a Saturday, Christmas Eve was that year, about 10:30, I came down to the office to get that little Honda 50 and load it up in my pickup and take it back to the house for Santa Claus to relieve at the house. Okay, we had a night watchman. This night watchman was a young man. Now, mind you, he was a grown man. He had a wife and either one or two little kids, which makes this, I don't know what word to use, it made what I'm about to tell you even more special, we'll say. All right, I drive into the yard, driving in those days, diesel pickups were a lot louder than they are now. And I drove into the diesel pickup. Well, night watchman's not around, not worried about that. I started looking and looked and looked and looked, and I looked for 10 or 15 minutes. Where's the night watchman? Well, I walked from the warehouse around the back of our office, and it was quite different than it is now. We didn't have a big dining room. We just had a kitchen at the corner of the office building. And that kitchen had a half glass door, and there was a step up to the concrete slab at the door and just a stoop over the door to enter from the outside. And I just walked in the dark up close to that door, and I could look in. Well, there's a night watchman, and he's sitting at the kitchen table and he's doing some paperwork. I said, well, he's got some reports or working, figuring his hours out for the week or something. So I didn't bother him. I went back to the warehouse and looked some more for that little Honda 50. Well, I looked and looked and looked, and I was opening doors and opening gates and banging things and making a lot of noise, and I finally found the little Honda and loaded it up by myself, which it was heavy for one person. Loaded it up in the back of the pickup, and I got back, got loaded up and started leaving. I said, the night watchman is still not here. I'm going to find out what's going on. So I walked back around there and looked in the window, and he's still furiously working on paperwork. Well, I jumped up on the step and hit the sides of the door at the same time. My hands made an awful racket, which scared the guy to death. And whoa! And he threw his crayon in the air. The guy, a grown man, supposed to be a night watchman, and he is coloring in a kid's coloring book. Now it's 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Well, trying to be a good guy, I walked in there, and I told him, I'm sorry, I can't fire somebody on Christmas, but Monday, you better be ready to look for you a new job, son. And that's the rest of that story. Okay. At the end of the year, here we're getting ready for a lot of new stuff this morning. And this is not today that I'm showing you here, but this morning we had our Christmas breakfast and awards, and I can't tell you how proud I am of all our folks. And this is a picture from, this was last year, I guess. Our folks right here at the Longview location, that's most of us. But we had our big Christmas breakfast and our awards for longevity for employees that have been with the company 15 or 20 or 25 years. And I never cease to be amazed. I told everybody this morning, what makes a company or any institution is not its products or its equipment or trucks or stuff. It's its people. They are the company. And I'm so proud of the folks that we've got. Looking at this picture that you're seeing, you see some, besides me, you see some folks with some gray hair or gray beard, and those folks didn't start off that way when they were employees first time around here at Longview. We got a bunch of folks that have been with Trevon and me for 25, 30, up to 35 years. It's just hard to imagine. I was going down to a job site down at Chain of Lakes and Artesian Lakes, beautiful developments out of Dayton and Livingston, Texas, yesterday. And Blake Linton and Gene Cooper were with me, and we were doing some reminiscing, about what wonderful customers we've had this year and every year, and going back in time. And I bumped into my old buddy Jimmy Smith, who is the developer, Dr. Jimmy Smith. Jimmy's the developer of Chain of Lakes and Artesian Lakes. Beautiful developments that are on some really neat lakes. I don't know if that's the Trinity River bottom or what river drainage they're in. Alligators, cypress trees, Spanish moss. It's something you don't think of in Texas, but an absolutely beautiful setting, and some unbelievably nice log homes are in both those developments. I got to visit with Jimmy a good bit yesterday, and that was extra special. Let's see what else I want to show you here. Of course, I'm always partial to the kids, and for years we've tried to use some of the grandkids for either for Christmas cards or just some random shots. And here's old Tate and Porter and Kaysen, and you get an idea of how young they are here. Well, Tate is now 9, Porter is 10, and Kaysen is 7. So this is going several years back, and then here was another one of the same 3 boys that was on a Christmas card, probably about the same time, them playing with puppies. And this is on the steps of one of our 2 model homes, the Hidden Oaks. It's about a mile from here for folks to come by and see. Next week, old Blake Linton is going to be taking the helm and doing our show, but we're trying to wind things down, get ready for 2020 to get started. And I'd like to just mention some things going on. We got a very special couple that we're building for right now out of Conway, Arkansas, and that's Jesse and Susie Hatfield. And if you'll get on Facebook and go to Hatfield's Log Home Adventure, really, really, really neat. They've got a GoPro camera going, and they select photographs every day showing the progress of the construction of that log home. And Danny is showing you some of those right now. But we're doing some time-lapse construction and some stills. And, you know, this is just so neat to watch a house start from the dirt work and go all the way through. And the Hatfields are so nice to share this with us and with you folks to see it. So anyway, make sure you go to Hatfield's Log Home Adventure and watch the progress on their house. We're going to be starting on shows and seminars real quickly in January. We're going to start off with the Dallas Safari Club show, and this year, so far, our schedule shows we're going to be in Dallas, Nashville, Houston, Salt Lake City, Kansas City, Tyler, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Blue Ridge, Georgia, Memphis, and then of course we've always got our seminars that we do in here at Longview and in LJ, Georgia. Don't know, and we'll probably do one in Utah also this year. But if you would go to our page on Facebook for Saturday White Log Homes, and we'll have our schedule, and you know, we may have a little change of schedule and times and places for you, but you can keep up with us that way very, very easily. You know, of course, Christmas is, to me, it's the most special time of the year, and I'd like to wind up basically with one final shot here. Danny, I'll get the hang of this after a while, but this is the grandkids again, and little Sawyer was probably 2 there, and he's 4 now. But you know, we can't stress enough the reason for the season. Awfully special, and if Jesus hadn't been born, we wouldn't be celebrating Christmas. Merry Christmas, y'all.